I'm Kat.
And I'm Gabe.
And we're
the Ghouls Next Door. Talk about spooky stuff.
Yeah.
Kat, what would you do
Okay.
if every single minute, every second of every minute, of every hour, of every day of your life was recorded with a camera or several?
I would be real mad. Because one, the producers aren't doing anything.
To help? Or maybe that's what's better
I've been
about
in some
it.
dark places.
That's
like,
what's
emotionally
ratings.
and otherwise.
Ratings, man.
I know, but like they don't know what's in my head.
Yeah, that's true. So what, have you just been really boring?
No. I think recently, maybe.
Yeah.
I've been in a pretty good place lately in life, you know.
Yeah.
Outside of like narcolepsy and asthma and colds and whatever. You know.
Whatever life, you know.
Yeah. Mostly just because you would have to be involved.
I guess. How'd they get in here? That's a good question. Did we sign a release? Did we agree to this? Do you think we would make good TV?
No, we would be inside of Truman Show life. So, like, everything would be a lie. And all of you would be dead.
I see what you're saying. So you're going Truman style. I was thinking more like Keeping Up with the Ghouls.
Oh.
Keeping Up with the Cools with the K instead, because it's like... or goofing off with the Ghouls.
Excellent. That sounds... People would watch it. I think the biggest thing is that people would be real, like, shocked.
At how boring we are?
No.
Oh.
By how gross I am.
Oh. They'd be like, this is quickly turned into an episode of Hoarders. And we were not expecting it.
Oh, they left Kat alone in the house for too long. No. Things are getting, wow, that's a lot of plates. Just, yep.
Oh, yeah, I guess welcome to my life.
And it's like, I've been watching the show for 3 days.
You've been watching your own show?
When did she shower?
Oh, nice, yeah.
I'm kidding a little bit. Like, I'm not that gross. But I'm just saying, yeah. I feel like the general consensus was, no one's shaking my hand for a minute.
Oh, no. That's gross.
No, I washed my hands.
Wow. I don't know what to believe anymore.
That's why. It's reality TV. Nothing's real.
Yeah. So if you didn't get it, on today's episode of our 2020 Future Technology episode, we're talking about reality TV. Because reality TV is kind of like TV of the future. It's like we had, periods of time where people worshipped like made up TV of just blissfully like happy families. That just like lived home on the range and in the prairies. Like it was just like you had a pleasant life on TV. And then all of a sudden we took this hard turn and now we're like, but what if reality? Except it's not reality, folks. And that's what we're trying to tell you.
Gabe.
Yes.
What would you do?
If it was on TV for every second of minute hour.
Yeah.
I wouldn't leave the house because I'd be really embarrassed. Just by, like, my life. I'd be like, no, everyone knows me now. They knew what my guilty pleasure TV is. They know,
That's the one thing.
They know how many hours I spent up instead of going to bed reading, like, very questionable webtoons. like, she should go to bed by now. I'm like, I can't put it down. And just, all my other bad habits. I just don't think I would like people I don't know knowing everything about me. Like already just the level of amount of people that know the little things that we say here on this podcast. Yeah. Where I'm like, oh, right, I did say that. And now anyone can listen to this episode and now know this like personal detail. And it's like a stranger. So I can't imagine like, not only do they know whatever I've disclosed, but like everything that's happening.
Yeah.
I'd rather not.
Facts. Yeah, facts. We tell you facts. All the facts. Here facts. Still facts. About that spooky stuff. Yeah, spooky stuff.
All right, y'all. So, I don't know if you know this about life and reality. It kind of sucks.
Yeah.
So, like, I'm going to tell you some stuff. It's not so happy. It's like reality TV is reality bad. Like, reality equal bad,
Okay.
just so you know.
Yeah.
But
Yeah, I mean, this
basically-
is the Ghouls. We talk about the horrors.
Yeah.
So
It's not going to be like, it's a happy, good time.
that's not what we do here.
Nope.
Wrong.
So we're going to talk about, like, why reality TV is horrific for, like, multiple reasons. But, like, specifically, what I will be covering is that, like, people have died.
Yeah.
Like, real time died. Or, like, real time murdered.
Our real time got, like, incredibly injured.
Yeah. Like,
Yeah.
just not good stuff.
Yeah.
Not
Generally, murder is looked at as not good
what
stuff.
I'm going to tell you, all right. So, like, real murder and death has occurred because of reality TV. Did you know?
Well, I did, but,
Because you also read the
but
script.
the listener should
Hello.
know.
Did you know, listener? In the HBO American Undercover documentary, Talk to Death, The Dark Side of Daytime Talk Shows, we kind of got, like, this view into the behind the scenes of reality talk shows and, like, daytime TV specifically, which I wouldn't expect daytime TV to be as dark as it was, but wow. But yeah, specifically, like, you know, they're, like, pitching this like it's supposed to be, like, a real thing. Like, you're seeing real people just like, I'm going to talk about this on TV. It's not, like, shady or weird. It's just like, I'm going to tell my crush I like them.
Yep. Or I'm on here and I'm definitely the person that I said I am.
Yo, yes.
Not impersonating someone else.
I'm not a different person. Or, like, yeah, like, people go on these shows thinking they're going for one thing and they're not going for that thing. They're going for something completely different, or, like, something, like, just very vaguely along the line similar to what they
Yeah.
thought they were going on that is, like, way worse than what they originally thought. So specifically for the Jenny Jones show, they had a special episode about revealing your crush. And Jenny is seen in the unaired episode goading her guest, who was named Scott Emender. He basically, like, goaded him into telling his, like, secret desires and, like, fantasies that he was having about his crush, which was, like, the theme of the show. Like, tell your crush that you like them on national TV. Let's just do that, everybody. It's
Yeah.
already a bad idea. And, like, basically led him into revealing fantasies that he had been having about his friend Jonathan Schmitz, who at the time had no idea that that was a thing, like, that he had a crush on him or that he was on the show for that reason.
Yeah. That this friend who is a male
Yeah.
had the crush on him.
Yeah. And Schmitz had told them, according to the trial footage, that if the crush was male, that he is not gay and not interested. So, like, when they were asking him to come on the show, he, like, explicitly asked, is the person who has a crush on me a man or a woman? And they're like,
Can't tell you.
can't tell you, but, like, it's, you know, it's a man or a woman, but you don't have to worry. And he's like,
Yeah.
if it's a man, I don't want to come on the show
Yeah.
because I'm not interested in that. And they're like, you don't have to worry, which, audience, hello. Does that sound like it probably wouldn't be a man, since she told him a bunch of times that he didn't have to worry?
Yeah.
You know, it could, and at the trial, I remember watching, it was like, on trial, the woman was like, or the attorney was basically like, did you
Lie.
saying, like, it was a man or a woman, even though he was asking specifically, you know, if it was a woman who had a crush on him. And then she was like, well, I didn't lie. I said it could be a man or a woman. You don't have to worry. And he's like, but couldn't have been a man?
And they're like, no.
She's like, no. I was
Or-
like,
or
well,
it
then
could have
did
been a
you
woman.
lie?
Yeah.
Yes. The answer is yes.
Yeah.
Specifically, like, they knew this reaction was not going to be necessarily positive because he was
Yeah.
very clear about it. I mean, not that they thought murder would happen, but, like,
They at least
we
knew
go.
that they would get some type of rise, which is what they were looking for.
yeah. So they basically got him on there. They started to, like, show Schmitz, you know, is about to come on, and Amender is sitting there, like, kind of uncomfortable talking about his feelings in front of a live audience. And then Schmitz comes out and is basically like, all right, this is clearly the thing that I asked specifically about beforehand.
Yeah.
And you said no, but like didn't say any of that, but you could tell like he was uncomfortable. So like Ander went in for a hug. He was like not trying to get a hug, and he sat down. And you know, his friend, there was a friend with him, Ander, that was a female. And he was like, dude, is it this the person who has the crush on me? Is like what Jenny is like trying to be like, ha ha ha. You thought it might be her. It's not. It's this guy.
Yeah.
And he's like, all
He
right.
said, you lied. is
Yeah,
what he
and like you can
said.
just like in the trial, they're trying to like say that basically you can see how uncomfortable he is. They're trying to justify the murder
Yeah.
based on like the surprise from the show, which you still
Yeah.
murdered somebody. Like it's
Yeah.
cool to feel uncomfortable and like not be cool with it, but like I guess like in the moment, but like.
Yeah.
Like, we're not saying if you go on the show and this guy says he has a crush on him, you have to have a crush on him back. Like, that wasn't the theme. But you can't go murder somebody.
Yep.
So, essentially, like, a day later when they had left, that, you know, he had approached him, he came to his house and, like, shot through his door, hitting him, and then shot him multiple times in his residence.
Yeah, and this is after like he had left him a like a playful note, kind of like making a joke about the situation. And like what's worse is like on the show, they were showing like when he was sitting there with them, they showed like she replayed clips of this guy talking about these really awkward fantasies about him, and like you can see clearly that they're like uncomfortable. And this episode was unaired, but
okay, yeah,
it's still like they did it, you know, like they brought them together, and he was out drinking with his friend, came home to this note that was playful, and it just really was not gonna help
end well. And then there was another one where a man and his wife murdered his ex-wife after appearing on the Jerry Springer show. Another man murdered his incredibly recent wife, having met her right after being voted off the Megan Wants to Marry a Millionaire show. He married and then murdered her violently. A man killed himself after being caught on To Catch a Predator, which that does not shock me. That would be an awful thing. One, to be doing, but also to be caught doing on TV. And you just, like, so much more violence. And not even counting the suicides, both on, like, European television, like, reality shows, and then also Australian, and then also United States. Like, they're not, like, taking care of these people.
No.
And whenever they're going on their shows, they're being very manipulative. They're setting them up for stressful encounters. They're encouraging them to act, like, more intensely than they maybe would otherwise.
Yeah.
Or, like, I kind of think back to that director who was doing, it was like a found footage with the Blair Witch Project.
Yeah.
Where they, like, weren't feeding the actors and, like, encouraged, like, basically they knew it was, like, this was fake, but it was still, like, you're not treating them right. You're escalating them to points where, like, they won't feel okay. And then it's, like, sometimes even, like, they'll find people who are not in a good place already and then, like, manipulate that and push them further. And it's just really gross.
Yeah.
And there's just also lots of really gross reality shows. Like The Swan was really awful, I remember watching.
Yeah,
and
for people who don't know, it's where people were competing to get plastic surgery to become the beautiful swan.
Yeah, and then like they competed with each other after getting the plastic surgery for who had, like, the best glow up, essentially.
Yeah. There's also, I mean, even, like, thinking about The Biggest Loser, a lot of those contestants, their lives are in jeopardy because they were starving them or putting them into, like, going from 0 to 100 in regards to physical exercise and not really, like, taking care of their bodies and starving them and just, like, pushing them to these limits that, like, bodies really shouldn't go, like, that abruptly. Yeah. And it's honestly very dangerous.
Yeah, and, like, another thing that's, like, I just remember reading a while back, too, is that, like, during, like, those shows where they show the big house, it's really nice that they let them stay at. Most of the time, they are not staying at that house.
Yeah.
And they're being, like, secluded and, like, kept from family and, like, everything that would kind of help their sanity stay okay. They're, like, removing them from those situations and just, like, starving them of, like, the real reality.
Yeah.
And, like, pitting them against other people in like these really toxic and just like not mentally or physically safe environments. And we got a lot of information from Ranker, so thanks to them. But also, you know, more like in a New York Post article, in only one decade, at least 21 reality TV stars died by suicide.
Yeah.
It's a lot. It would be a lot if it was even like 10. Any, I argue.
Like one.
It's a
Honestly,
lot.
it's a lot.
Any is a lot.
Yeah. Like I was going to go to what I think is a really horrific thing about reality TV and daytime talk even is the producers who are a part of it and the showrunners, and that they are incredibly manipulative.
Yeah.
Like they are really only there to control people and situations and exacerbate them and take people out of their comfort zones and make them raw on TV in front of the audience for ratings.
They don't consider them people. They consider them methods to money, essentially.
Or fame in some degree. So I actually had an instructor at Temple. I won't mention her name, but she had previously been a producer for Maury Povich and for Sally Jesse Raphael, which is an old daytime talk show.
Yeah.
And she actually, I would say, is one of the most manipulative and honestly, like kind of like evil people I've ever met in my life, which is saying like I meet a lot of people. Yeah. But I would say like coming away from that class, I was like, my eyes are open, because it was just like how to make a talk show was like the class. And so I was like, that sounds fun. Like, I don't know. I'm just trying to learn all the different mediums of how cameras work.
Yeah.
And getting a glimpse into that, I was like, this is the most evil industry, and I hope to never be involved in that. Yeah. Like, in any way. Yeah. And she actually, like, brought in her daytime talk Emmy that she got from working on the Sally Jesse Raphael show. And the reason they earned that Emmy was the episode was the first one where there was a fight on daytime talk shows.
Oh, nice.
Yeah. And she was proud and beaming and like showing, like passing around like this Emmy, like this could be you. And it was like, I don't know if I want to be this.
You could convince people to attack each other on TV.
Yeah.
That sounds
like
nice.
Harm each other. And like she like would kind of gloat about how it was like her job to like, where she would be like crawling on her knees between like the commercial breaks and going up to them and being like coaxing them and being like, you need to open up, and like, you know, manipulating, twisting them, thinking that she's the one who coaxed them on the show. She probably like showed them that she's a friend in some degree. Yeah. And then while they're like, you need to tell your story and you need to tell her what's up. Like, and it's clear that she doesn't really care about that person. She
just wants a reaction out of them and to make them embarrass themselves on TV.
Yeah.
I just imagine young Gabe like fuming.
Yeah. I was like, I like called my mom like every day after that class, where I was just like, Mom, you will not even believe what I had to hear today. And God. She knew, she was like, is it her again? Yeah. People be like that. But what it made me think of is in that documentary that we watched. Yeah. There's clips from the Geraldo Rivera show, and you see one of his producers who's like who's been fighting to get these women on the show who had this really torrid relationship that they've just been like fighting like constantly, and there's all this unresolved issues, and she gets them on the show because she thinks they're going to have it out. But one of them's very timid, and the other one's just kind of like yelling about stuff, and not even like the big stuff. And so she keeps going at every break, commercial break, coming in and be like, you need to cry, or you need to open up, and you need to just let it out, and yell at her about like your husband and all this stuff. Then she go, and they kept trying to coax it out. And even when they got Geraldo in there being like, open up, whatever, she still didn't really. Like, she cried on TV, but it wasn't what she wanted. And you can see that this producer was so mad. Yeah. Because she wasn't getting the results. She wasn't getting people falling apart. And then she like made it seem like, you know, Geraldo's so great because this is the part where he really gets to them. Like, he gets them to open up, and then they get resolved on TV. Like, it's something like she was definitely spelling it like she was some kind of hero.
Yeah, no, I remember watching that part and being like feeling really like cringy, like why? This isn't, you're not helping them. Like, help them in private if you want to help them. Like, you only want them to start screaming at each other and then fight. Like, that's what you want. Yeah. You want to fight.
Yes.
You want your daytime nanny. Gross.
Yeah. And that's like, so imagine like the amount of manipulation that's happening between these commercial breaks and then stretch that out for months when it comes to like reality TV shows.
Yeah.
So there's like different producers and they have their picks. Like they chose you. You are under them. You essentially belong to them. And now they like are manipulating you. They're acting like your friend. They're like planting, like they're whispering in everyone's ears. And they're also like re-showing and re-editing things that are not showing the truth. So like imagine months of like someone manipulating you and whispering in your ear and being stuck away from the rest of the world. Like especially like we watch America's Next Top Model. There's girls who were moms who couldn't see their kids for like the months that they're on this stupid show. And it was all like, don't you want this to be your dream? It's like, if it were my dream, like, yeah, I might be a few months away from my kid, but I could call them and like, I knew that I could go to them at any time.
Yeah.
Like
No,
I'm not
that's
being
very
held
real.
hostage.
It's very much, it's very much like a hostage situation. It just reminds me, I was talking to a coworker today about what we were going to talk about today.
Yeah.
Marina specifically.
Oh.
But I was telling her, I was just like, every time I watch shows like this, I feel like I'm watching The Hunger Games, and that like it feels very much like they are there because the rest of their family has been held hostage.
Yeah.
And like they need to perform on this show or they'll start taking lives.
Yeah.
Like it's just very like The Bachelor.
What are the other
that show
things?
very
Yeah.
much just feels like I have your children.
Yeah.
If you don't pick one of these women and make out with all of them on TV,
Yeah.
I'm gonna kill this kid.
Yeah. And
It's
it's
real
like,
intense.
and they're like, oh, I pick Jessica. I don't know.
You get a rose?
I don't like any
The
of them.
internet voted and the one I like goes home and the one I love is
I guess I love Jessica.
Jessica's cool.
She's got more personality than Barbara, and I love
She
her.
didn't yell at my mom.
Well,
Yeah, that's the whole
actually,
thing.
what I found really interesting, so you know that I had a guilty pleasure of watching UnReal, which we will talk
Yes.
about in our film section.
Yes.
But according to the creator of UnReal, which is Sarah Gertrude Shapiro, who worked for The Bachelor, that UnReal is honestly like built on things that happen in reality TV. Like
Yeah.
it's not real, like it's made up, like it is
Yeah.
crazy. But a lot of it is like taken straight from like the book, right?
Yeah.
Of like how you do it. So like one, that producers are paid for starting drama. I got all this information from an article on Distractify called Is Unreal Like The Bachelor?
Cool.
So one, in the show, producers they'll be like, $200 if you can get this girl to freak out on camera. That's like real. Like that really happens. Producers do get paid a little extra if they start drama or they do a specific task. Wow. Like they get a bonus. And imagine if they were like $200 if you can get Michael to make out with this other girl. Yeah, $100 extra. Heck yeah.
Yeah.
Like, of course.
It was like, Michael, hey.
Listen, I saw her making eyes at you.
Go kiss,
So
kiss.
do that. Yeah, you go kiss kiss is what they would say. Everyone knows.
Wink, wink, kiss, kiss.
Producers pretended to be the contestants' best friends to gain their trust, to the point where like some like previous contestants have like, you know, been reported as being like, yeah, you knew that they were manipulating you, but they were also like your only companion for
Yeah.
months. Like the only person that you like, if you didn't trust them, then you were going to have a meltdown.
Yeah.
So like you kind of had to ignore the fact that you knew that they were manipulating you.
Yeah.
Just to like get through it.
Yeah.
Which is just wild, right? The producers would control the romance, like sometimes keeping characters on just because they make good TV, not because Jack likes them.
Yeah.
You know, which like really sucks. And then the most interesting thing is known as frankenbiting. So thinking of like sound bites, which
yes.
is like,
That's my nightmare.
Yeah.
That's literally like the thing I said that scared me in the
Yes.
net where they put all the things together.
yeah. So it's essentially editing video to make contestants say things that they didn't say, which is apparently pretty darn common. So this little editing trick is used shockingly often. Let's say The Bachelor says, I do not want to go on a date with Trish. If an editor took out the words do not, making the sentence, I want to go on a date with Trish, that would be a frankenbite.
Yeah.
Or times when they would like cut like different scenes of a dinner. So he would ask a question and then her answer was from something later in the dinner, but you don't know that.
Yeah.
We're inside. Like, it's the same lighting. Like, what do you, like...
Yeah, and I remember we were watching the documentary or whatever, and it was like, and it was really weird because, like, I specifically, they asked him to ask her about money, and he said no, like, he refused. And
Yeah.
then they clipped it, they Franken-bit it together
Yeah.
to get it to be like, so I know, like, you were dating my son, but, like, what about his money?
Yeah.
And then she was like, what?
That
I was
never
like, that never
happened.
happened.
Yeah. Yeah. So it's like, that's really true. And then, like, I mean, we've seen, like, currently, Kat and I have been working through America's Next Top Model.
We
And it
have.
is definitely a guilty pleasure of ours.
Yeah.
We have this love-hate relationship with it because there are parts where we're like, this is really bad. Like, we are acknowledging that that's really toxic.
Yeah.
And then other times where they feel like little wins. So it's, you know, you kind of got to
Yeah.
take some, you got, you know, you win some, you lose some.
And what's interesting is, like, we know it's in the past.
Yeah. Also,
know
yeah,
it's not live.
we're like cycle 11 right now. It's
Yeah,
pretty
we're like,
late.
this was in 2000s. It's fine.
Yeah. So, like, we've seen things where, like, one woman told a story of how she was involved in a plane crash and only survived because her mother's lifeless body kept her warm until help came. And that girl lasted maybe 2 episodes.
Yeah, but they only invited her on so she could tell that story.
Yeah. And it's like this
100%.
weird thing
They
where
have this. There's like a handful of like contestants. They always have like a few that are only there. One,
say
'cause,
something
you know,
sad.
they are beautiful. But like 2, it's because like they want to be like, oh, look at this person who's experienced such hardship, and we've let them onto this opportunity. Only
Yeah.
they always get rid of them.
yes. Sob
They
stories never win.
always get rid of them.
Yeah. The sob stories never win. And it's always like, it's right after like antics. Like usually, so
Yeah.
in the interviews, it's always like a bunch of girls are singing and some dance and some walk really funny and the judges are laughing. And then it'll cut to this girl and then Tyra will be like, something really tragic happened to you. Why don't you tell us about that? And then like out of nowhere, after we've just been giggling about girls being like odd, right?
Yeah.
We have a woman being like, I was raised in foster care and I've been raped, abused, and molested my entire life, and crying, sobbing on screen, only
Yeah.
to like be voted off in 3 episodes.
Yeah.
Like she opened up because she thought that was going to get her, because you know a producer was like, hey, you gotta cry. You gotta tell that
You
story.
wrote that on
It's
your application. We gotta put it on
Tyra
there.
is gonna, like, that's the only reason you're here. Tyra's gonna has a big heart. She does, and that's really what gets her. Or
Yeah.
I saw this post, so we tagged Kat in it, where it said, imagine you've been growing your hair out your whole life and you're proud of it, and then Tyra Banks decides to be edgier with short hair and cuts it all off, and then she kicks you off for crying about it.
Yeah.
Which is like funny when you're like, ha, like, because that's what happens. And it's just like the girls cry. But that's actually like literally a torture tactic.
Yeah, no, 100%.
It dehumanizes people.
Yeah. I.e. Holocaust.
Yeah.
I.e. any internment camp that has existed within the United States.
Yeah.
Like during the Holocaust, they considered like head shaving a 2-fold thing. So like one, there was some sort of industrial benefit to it in
Yeah.
terms of like one, to like make them unrecognizable to themselves.
Yep.
Like essentially it just changes the way your entire face would look, essentially.
Yeah. And
if
your
you had
uniform.
Yeah, and they would basically try to make you look just like everybody else. So like kind of taking your humanity from you, kind of make you feel like you're not a person, you're
Yeah.
a piece of cattle.
Yeah.
And specifically they would do that like usually right before they would make you go into the showers, which was gas.
Yeah. So
yeah.
Tyra,
Real
stop
torturous.
cutting girls' hair and then being mad that they react that way.
Yeah.
That's not how
It's
that
like
works.
an exceptionally dehumanizing thing, unless you're doing it on purpose as like a
Like, you
place of
decided
power.
it,
Like
yeah.
you have decided your hair is gone now.
Yeah. It's not great.
You're taking away
You're
like
not shining bright. Okay? That's all I have to say.
Bright, shine fire.
She's
Don't
not.
be shy, be a star.
That reality TV is far more evil than you thought. It causes murder, it's torture, it causes depression. People's lives are forever unchanged, like, or changed afterwards, like to the point where it's like that's all they do is regret. And then they can't do anything because the producers are like, I don't know, go see a therapist. Not our problem. You signed an NDA.
Yeah, like it's just all really cruel. And it's honestly a lot of it, it's just hard to watch. Like there's some that I enjoy.
Stop laughing at reality TV.
A lot of people are cruel.
Film. Yeah, films. Yeah, films. We watch some films. Now let's talk about those films. And all that spooky stuff. And all that spooky stuff.
All right, so we are going to get to the films and or media, but first I want to play a game with Kat.
Yes.
And so I have up an article from Screen Rant called 8 Fakest Reality Shows and 8 that are totally real.
I'm going to understand this game.
Yes. So the idea of what I'm going to do here is I'm going to read you the title of a show that is real, like exists on TV.
Okay.
Right? And then I'm going to tell you the premise of that show or a little blurb about it. And then you tell me if what's happening in there is real or if fake, like if it's being manipulated.
Okay.
Right? Okay.
Yes.
So number 1 is 90 Day Fiancé, which is a real show on TV. My sister watches it. Shout out to Victoria. And I was like, what is this? But essentially, 90 Day Fiancé could be affectionately called the green card marriage because it is about an American and then someone from a different country who are wanting to be in a relationship. And they have 90 days in order to immigrate to America to get that K-1 visa.
When did this show air?
I think it's still going on, actually.
Okay.
They do like more episodes or they'll do like the old people come on and then you do it. So 90 Day Fiancé, real fake.
Fake because America sucks and they don't let anyone in.
It is fake, but generally the fake part of this is that the couples are already married before it, and because a lot of like they do a lot of recording, but they definitely chop up and just retell their own stories.
Yeah.
So that was like kind of like a little, but a lot of it is scripted.
It is somewhat refreshing that they are already married and that they're not like getting married for TV.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And also, I know people who are currently like not 90 Day Fiancé, but like who are going through getting married.
Yeah.
To like because love, but then also to get like
visas
essentially.
Yeah, my uncle's wife had to get a visa from Dominican Republic, and that was like a years long battle of getting her over here.
Yeah.
But they're cool now. She's a citizen.
Yeah.
All right, America, listening. All right, number 2, hoarders. So people who don't know what hoarders is, it's about people who suffer from compulsive hoarding disorder and generally are living in detrimental conditions where people come in, psychologists come in, and they try to clean out their house. Is this real or fake?
I always thought it was real.
It is real.
Okay.
It is sadly real because
it's really sad, but I definitely was like this. I remember watching that show and be like, I understand these problems because I exhibit some of these symptoms.
Yeah, no,
and
I get
this
it.
has to be real.
Yeah. And in the whole situation and the talking is totally real and them trying to clean it out. But what a good thing about the show is that the therapy and the help that they receive is also real.
Yeah.
So that's a little silver lining. All right. Number 3, I'm not going to go through the whole list. I'm just kind of picking my favorites, but Amish Mafia. So this is where there's people who used to be in the mafia who now are still kind of like involved, but they have guns and they like protect the like Amish areas. Real or fake?
Fake?
It's super fake. It's very fake. Some of these guys aren't even really in the Amish like community. So y'all been lied to.
You've been had.
You've been had. Real or fake Mythbusters. This is where they hear about myths and then they do it in real life to see if it's real or not. So myth? You think Mythbusters is myth? It's real. They actually fight really hard because the producers were like, we want a bigger result. But it's like if this thing is not real, like that we're myth busting and it ends up being like dumb, that's what it is. Like I want my show to be real, and luckily it has stayed on for 13 years.
I just thought too many of them were real, so I thought I had to say it was fake.
Okay, here's one.
Gabe's my producer. She's coded.
So Diesel Brothers. The wacky adventures of 2 Mormon gearheads may seem larger than life. They're Heavy D and Diesel Dave, who work in like big trucks and stuff. Real or fake?
I really want it to be fake.
Heavy D and Diesel Dave.
I don't like their names.
2 Mormon gearheads.
I don't know.
This one's super real.
Oh my god.
This one's very real.
What?
Yeah.
All right.
Here's a fun one. Say Yes to the Dress.
Fake.
Where girls come. For people I know, girls go to Kleinfeld's to say yes to their dress.
I just love this show.
Real or fake?
For real. Fake real. Like it's a little both.
It is a little both in that what we see on TV is definitely skewed. A real experience at Kleinfeld is nowhere near what they're showing on the show, but the women do get their dresses.
Yay.
But generally, it's not at all what you're thinking.
Yeah.
Yeah. So that was like some of the ones that I thought were really interesting. I'm going to give you two more and then that's
people. Okay.
Alaskan bush people. There's nothing like a big wacky family to reel in viewers and good ratings. This is about Alaskan people in the wilderness living life. It's like a family. It's like that
Fake.
duck show. It is fake. It's staged.
I just feel like family shows, I feel like most of them have to be
Duck
fake.
Dynasty. I think Duck Dynasty is fake. All right, last one. Cops. Y'all know what you want.
I loved watching Cops. It was so cringy if you watch it like as an adult.
Yeah. What? Real or fake?
What you gonna do? I feel like it can't be real. They're filming people getting arrested.
No, it's real. It's all real. The danger, the chases, and the cops themselves. So if you really want to like...
It's messed up. Oh, I'm not going to say it. Never mind. Someone I knew was on an episode of Cops.
Well, it was real. Then you should have known it was real.
I forgot until this moment. You know how my brain does.
Yeah, I know.
Yeah.
All right. Well, let's actually do what we came here for, people. I just thought that was fun.
It was fun.
When I got to the Diesel brothers, I was like, there's no way Diesel Dave. There's no way. And it's real.
I can't.
My new name is now Ghoulie Gabe.
Yo, what should I be?
Creepy cat.
Creepy cat. I don't want to be creepy cat.
All right. Yeah, I don't know what to tell you. That's all I got. All right. Anyway, so we watched two things. Well, we watch a lot of actual reality TV, unbeknownst to us. But for the sake of this episode, we are going to talk about UnReal, which is a phenomenal television series from 2015 to 2018.
I found it
4
very
seasons.
stressful.
Oh, incredibly stressful. So the creators are Marty Noxon and Sarah Gertrude Shapiro, who I mentioned before, is a former Bachelor producer. So she knows her stuff. So what UnReal is about is a behind-the-scenes look at the chaos surrounding the production of a dating competition program. So it's kind of like in the vein of Bachelor.
Yeah.
And it's what I got out of it when I was watching it, and what got me hooked was because I work in television.
Yeah.
So I thought it was like really fun to see behind the scenes because I was like, I knew that stuff. Like I knew that stress. Or like one of my favorite moments is like our main character, Rachel, goes off to like try to fix a problem, and everyone, like all the head producers are gone. They leave it to like a rookie. Yeah. And when they come back, the rookie and the producer who doesn't, like the creator who doesn't know what he's doing. Yeah. Because he's always high. So it actually like, they come back and there's music blaring and all the girls are partying and it's just like chaos. And they come in and they're like, we can't edit this because there's music on it. Like music we don't have the rights to. 2, it's an editing nightmare. Like you can't get any conversations because like anytime you cut, it's a different song. Yeah. Like what are you talking about? Like, and I was like, that's so real and no one understands. Yeah. like no one ever thinks about that. So I would get this like little rush whenever it'd be like these like lingo or anything.
I've literally heard you say to people, like you were on the phone with somebody and you're like, no, we can't play music. We don't have the rights to that music. Yeah. You can't play music, guys.
It's not real. Like, if you don't have the rights to things, you have to pay a lot of money for it.
Or are just you rich now? Because I know I'm not. You're not paying me. Like,
yeah. Or even just like how to edit or how to manipulate the story, like people having no idea. And I just thought that was really cool. Yeah, it is cool. But it does have like what I think the other part of it that was really cool is that we see Rachel, who through these 4 seasons, she starts as our protagonist who's a little broken. Yeah. That clearly this is like her home and she's doing something. Yeah. But like, it almost feels like reluctant. Like it's the only thing she's good at, but she kind of hates that she's good at it.
Yeah, because it's kind of cringy.
Yeah. But she does it. And her things is like that she can make a difference from the inside. Yeah. It's kind of like her hopes. All the way until, spoilers, we get to season 4, where she honestly is the villain. She does some crazy stuff. She makes a woman, again, spoilers, season 4, she makes a woman number 2 herself, like on TV, on live TV. Like, because she gave her like laxatives because she was mad at that girl. Wow. And then later orchestrated her death by accident. So it gets crazy, right? Season 1, there's a girl who commits suicide and jumps off of the building, off the house. Like, it's so out of pocket. And, like, the thing about it is, like, from that season where someone literally died all the way to season 4, there's still contestants because they bring back, it's like one of those, like, we're going to bring back the favorites from the last seasons.
Oh, yeah, they do that a lot.
Yeah. And
With,
in
like,
season
shows.
4, it's totally off the rails. And, like, the contestants from that season in season 1 are like, it's crazy now. Despite the fact that a literal murder happened before.
Yeah.
But you kind of see, like, Rachel's descent into this madness, and that she clearly has this hole that she wants to fill, and she just keeps getting all caught up, and no one's really like, if anything, she's just like the characters on the show, in that she's being just as manipulated, and doesn't see it because she does all the manipulating. You know, it does have 2 like powerful women who also are very flawed, because we also have the character of Quinn, who does a wonderful job, and is actually, Quinn and the creator are based on the real life situation that happened on Bachelor as well. So, but it's just like, it was a very interesting look into the way that, like, you can really see how the producers would come up and be like, hey, you don't really feel that way. There's like a whole arc where there's a woman who discovers that she might be a lesbian, and she comes from a very Christian background in, like, Texas. Yeah. And she discovers this while they're out, and she's, like, supposed to be on this date with him, showing him her family, and she realizes that, and then Rachel's like, was at first going to be like, let's tell the whole world, and then she, like, totally, like, becomes a hero in her own right, and convinces, like, the producers that it's fine, we're going to hold that secret. Yeah. But it was like, I was so worried. I was like, you can't, like, have her come out on TV, and she's, like, with her conservative family, and, like, that should be her thing.
Like, she needs to make that choice for herself.
Yeah. So it's like, it is a fun ride, and it's also super emotional.
Yeah, every time I even, like, kind of watched it with you, I was very stressed the entire time. And I was like, I don't know how you watch. Like, it's so stressed. Like, everything awful is happening.
There are no winners.
It looked like a hard time for all.
Yeah, but it's so true. It's so honest, even in the most absurd ways. And I do think it's an enjoyable experience. And because it is only 4 seasons, like, it allowed itself to just end. And I always appreciate a show that decides to end instead of being canceled or going too long.
Yeah, like going, like, really, ooh.
Yeah, like Supernatural, what are you doing? Like season 25. I don't know what you're doing.
It's too many.
It's 20 more than it was supposed to be. Just for everyone to know. But that's kind of like what I was like, if we're doing reality TV, ooh, that's the best.
Let's do this.
But we also watch what, I don't know if you guys would have thought of this as reality TV, but it super 100% is Truman Show.
Yeah.
From 1998.
Takes me back. Yeah. Like 7-year-old me I would
such a weird
cycle
thing for
between the Truman Show and Terminator 2.
Such a weird kid.
I just like really enjoyed watching all the things I was scared of, so that I knew what they were.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Just really fueling those psychoses.
I wanted to know what I needed to fight.
Yeah, okay. You're gonna fight the TV gods?
I was convinced for a minute. I was just like, all right, either robots are coming to get me, I'm in the Matrix, or I'm in the Truman Show. I was like questioning everything. I was a very paranoid child.
Yeah.
But yeah, Truman Show was one of my favorite movies when I was little. Specifically, it was directed by Peter Weir. And the little summary of it is an insurance salesman discovers his whole life is actually a reality TV show. And, like, it's so stressful. Because, like, he's, like, a nice guy. Like, you're, like, the whole appeal.
It's Jim Carrey.
Yeah, it's Jim Carrey.
Nice Jim Carrey.
Yeah. And it's, like, the whole appeal of him is that he's just, like, a good guy.
It's ordinary.
He's, like, an ordinary person. Just, like, but, like, surrounded by other ordinary people who, like, he still, like, shines in there. Like, he's just, like, the only real thing in this very fake world.
Yeah.
And that's, like, the whole theme is that, like, every time the producer of the show, like, speaks on it, he's like, you know, Truman's real.
He's everything else fabricated, but he's real.
Yeah. This beautiful real thing.
Yeah. It is really trippy, and I would argue that this very much already is a horror movie, and, like, when you're really looking at it, like, it's just wearing the clothes of, like, a different kind of movie, I guess. But, like, even the idea of, like, they were recording him in the womb, and then he was born, and then they, like, manipulate his life to give him a horrible fear so that he won't leave this environment.
They killed his fake dad, man.
Yeah.
That's
Spoilers.
It's from 1998.
I'm just saying.
Like, they killed his fake dad. That's like really,
Yeah.
like, if we're gonna be like enacting trauma.
Yeah.
They tried to make him scared of dogs.
Yeah.
Then they made him scared of the ocean, like cripplingly so, like where he won't even cross bridges. He's that stressed.
Yeah.
And then like the girl he likes, they're like, nah, you gotta like this lady
Yeah.
who's like really like in his face and doesn't even like him.
Yeah, she's just an actress. But what I was thinking was, I was like, if we took this film and we changed the point of view and we were actually, as a viewer, in Truman's mind, like if we were just seeing it from his point of view, we didn't see all the cameras, we didn't get that background, and we just had that first scene where he gets out of the car, he's about to get in the car, and the light falls from the sky. Like, that, I was like, this is a horror movie. Like 100%. That would be like you would be like, what is real, right? Like if you put yourself into Truman's shoes and that's all we got, and it wasn't the cutesy like where they're in places and we get to see this behind the scenes and we get to see people watching, and it's like this critique on like how we're so consumed by television. Like if we took all that out, and it was just a man who's dealing highly with like this intense psychosis where he thinks that the world around him is fake and that everyone is watching him.
Yeah.
Like, that is scary.
Yeah, it was stressful.
Yeah.
But like the biggest thing is that they were.
Yeah.
Yeah, the things that messed me up about this thing. Okay.
Yeah.
The things that scared me most about this show were as follows. One, watching it as an adult person, that his wife, who was not his real wife, had to have sex with him.
Mm-hmm. And she got paid probably extra for that in her contract.
Yeah, but that's wild. Like, you have to live with this man, pretend he is your husband, pretend you love him, have sex with him, all this stuff on TV.
Mm-hmm. Well, they didn't show
I know
it.
they cut, but what I'm saying is that you still had to do it. You still had to convince him that it was real.
Yeah.
Despite the fact you did not like this man. Yeah. You were not in love with him. You were like, money, I guess.
Yeah.
You gave up all other socialization. Like, you're just like with him.
This is your whole life.
And how do you not feel bad?
She's a very interesting character.
And then the friend, oh my God.
He's worse, I would argue.
I wanted to murder him.
His whole thing where he's like telling that heartfelt speech where he's like, if this all is fake, then that means I'm fake. And the fact that like he's delivering that line, and right before that line, we see that he's being fed those lines. Yeah. And it's like, it's so, and then you just see Truman being so sad and being like, feeling bad that he would think that. Yeah. You know? And it's so awful. And I'm just now realizing that his name is Truman. Yeah. Because, wow. Yeah. But also, ready? Yeah. We also have Christoph, who is the creator of this, and his like pseudo dad, who is essentially God. Yeah. He talks to him from the sky. Yeah. Right. So I went on a rabbit hole and I found this article, ourmovielife.com, and it's called The Truman Show In-Depth Analysis. Okay, I'm excited. I was like, this is fun. Because I did read it and I want to know. Yeah, so there's a lot that happens in here. One, it's this idea that, his name is Christoph, right? So it's like Christ. But it's also like Christ off, because he's like not Christ, right? He's like this other version. But it's this idea that we have this like all-knowing being that is controlling the world. So we have this perceived free will that is not entirely real at all. Yeah, like he can leave at any time, and then they're like, and he couldn't. They're caging him like an like they're attacking him to get him to stay. Or even just thinking about, at the end, he's trying to leave and he literally changes the weather and causes like the water to attack him. It's like, how many times has God used the elements to hurt the people because they didn't do what he wanted, despite the fact that they have free will? Yeah. Right? He literally does that. That he can control the weather, and then he talks to him from the sky. And it's also like this idea, so coming off of like Christianity and all of that, right? We also have this idea of allegory of the cave, which is Plato's allegory of the cave. If I'll do a really, really chopped up version of it for listeners, if you do not know what it is. But
I don't know what it is.
Essentially what it is that if we had a group of people and they lived in this cave and their whole existence is like they're chained so that their back is against a wall and they can only see images on the wall in front of them projected from the fire making shadows. And that is their whole, like they can't like see each other because it's darkness. So essentially their whole worldview is these perceived like shadows on the wall. So then eventually they get free and they go up to the world. And the idea is that the world is so much more than these like flat just shadow figures, right? They're just so much more, and it's so intense that it's too much that they would go back to the comfort of being in that cave. But what Truman shows us is that that is not the case, that if people got a glimpse into something that was bigger than that we would still venture there because that meant something new. It meant something we can possibly control. It meant freedom, right? Like, it you know, like people always say like, it's the devil, you know, right? But sometimes it's like, I'd rather take my chances to see if that might not be a devil, you know, right? Because he has this whole time where he says, like, the world I created for you is fake, but the world out there is fake too. And this one, at least you'll be safe, right? Like, if you stay in here, you'll be safe. The world I crafted.
And he thinks he's going to stay, which is like...
Because that's his whole theory is the allegory of the cave, that he thinks that Truman would choose if he had the choice. And then obviously he doesn't. He pushes open his like fourth wall here. He like literally pushes his fourth wall in and he, you know, gives his little goodbye sign off.
If I don't see you, good afternoon, good evening, and good night.
And he just goes out there into the world. I would have loved to see what happens afterwards, because I think it would have been like wild. But what we see immediately after that is like when they cut the video feed, right? We have those guys, like the guys who are working in like the garage, and they're just like, well, what else is on? Right? Because this is a show that's been on for 30 plus years, however long Truman's alive, right? And it still doesn't mean anything. Right? It's still like, all right, on to the next thing, right?
Yeah.
And it's just like, and they're also like, don't even get me started about all the product placement and the fact that we have like YouTubers now who do that. And you just think about all this stuff. Like, it is so real and it's so terrifying. There's also, Kat, what you had as a child, is actually called The Truman Show Delusion.
What is that?
There are actual people who, because of this movie, so they already had like, probably were already susceptible to certain like delusions where they felt like they were being watched.
Yes.
But in this case, it's that they watch the Truman Show and then they think they figured it out and that they are too like Truman and are being watched and are on TV.
Wow.
Yeah. So it's like a real actual, like there are psychologists who diagnosed it where it's kind of like this perception that you are kind of important enough that people would be watching you, right? Like you just have this kind of like thing, but then also this immense distrust of the world around you because you think everyone is fake, even like your best friend, because if in Truman it could happen, who's to say anyone has ever been real? So
I'm stressed.
Feelings. Yeah, feelings. Yeah, I said feelings. Let's talk about feelings. Okay. And all that spooky stuff. I love spooky stuff.
okay, so if you like it, it's you want to be on top.
Dun, dun,
Dun.
dun, dun, dun,
We're gonna make it
dun,
happen. Okay, that's want to be on top. So that's America's Next Top Model's theme song, if you didn't know.
Yeah.
And then if you don't like it, it's Heavy D and Diesel Dave, because those are the Diesel brothers.
We have a TV
What a
show
wild show!
that's actually real.
Yeah,
Even though I
surprise.
didn't think it could be.
Yes. It kind of makes me think of like that scene in Rick and Morty where they're clearly just making up the show. It's like two brothers are fighting aliens, and there's a robot there, and it's two brothers on a truck, and it's like clear that they're just spitting stuff out. Like that's what Diesel Brothers sounds to me like. Two brothers, they're Mormon. Heavy D, Diesel Dave. Yeah, it's real.
They go the trucks. They go the trucks.
Good job, guys.
Mechanicals.
Kat, how do you feel about reality TV?
Oh, it's super Diesel Dave.
Yeah.
I think it's just like really mean. And it makes me sad. It makes me feel sad feelings.
Oh.
Because it's one, my ignorant self as a child was like, I want to be on American Idol.
Oh, me too.
I practiced. I was like ready. I like looked up how to do it.
Yeah.
I think my mom's ex-husband applied to The Voice.
Husband
applied to The Voice. That was the thing that happened.
I have a friend who auditioned for So You Think You Can Dance. She got pretty far.
I used to love that show.
It's also super manipulated.
I
just
don't
so you guys know.
Feel surprised by
I lied
that.
in like middle school and told people I was going to go audition on like a bus going home, and they were like, "Yeah, sure," and I was like, "I am.
You don't know.
I'm gonna be famous," and they're like, "Whatever."
And then you flip your hair.
I'm like, "Okay, Gabe, sit down."
Yeah, like I remember watching it when I was like younger and not like in any way. One American Idol I thought was real, but like like The Bachelor and stuff. I was like, this is just weird.
Yeah, it is weird.
I saw like a meme about it. It was like, your girl watches the show about a guy who makes out with 6 different women in one night. And then they all live in a house together. But she'd be mad if you did this in real life.
Unless they were in a polyamorous relationship and then everyone loves each other. That's just where I come in. Yeah, I watched a lot of daytime talk, actually. Like me and my mom watched a lot of that. I watched a lot of Maury Povich.
So much
that Steve, who was the body guard, and Jerry Springer has his own show. And remarkably enough, nobody really fights on there. And I was just thinking, I was like, he probably has just as much like credibility as Dr. Phil, who I also watch a lot because I think he's really sassy and it's fun for me.
Yeah.
But I also like simultaneously will just be like, these poor people.
Yeah, I used to watch a lot of Maury when I was sick, like when I had colds.
Yeah, because it was
which was often when I was a child. And I would like sit at my grandpa's house or my mom's house, and I would watch all the daytime TV as like a little person who should not be watching these shows. But I was like, you are not the I thought that stuff was so fascinating.
It was crazy. Yeah, my mom used to like threaten me, and she'd be like, "If you're bad, I'm going to send you to the cadet school that they send these bad kids to."
Yes, like when they would have the kids come on, and then they were like, "My daughter's out of control."
Oh yeah, and she's like, "I'll say whatever I want, and I eat all the food in the house, and I steal your card, cash me outside."
I had sex with that guy. It's like
like a grown man.
Yeah.
For a credit card or something.
And he's like, I don't know. You don't even know me, Mom.
Yeah, and then they cry, and it's kind of sweet. But again, just manipulation. How do you feel about, and for the record, I also feel like it's awful.
It's awful. It's definitely awful.
It is evil. It is very evil. And the most evil people work on there. I'm convinced. What about UnReal? How do you feel?
It stressed me out.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I like that it's fake.
Yeah.
Like, I like that the things that are happening on the show aren't actually happening on the show.
But it makes you sad because it could happen.
It's based on real stuff.
Yeah.
But, like, I like that it's made to show that that's a thing.
Yeah.
I think that's important.
Mm-hmm.
And that, like, it's not real, though.
Yeah.
Like, that it exists in real life.
Yeah.
But that what's happening actually in the show is not real.
Yes.
Makes you feel a little better.
Yeah. For me, it's definitely, I want to be on top because I love it. I was like, I'll watch it over again. I'll do it. How about Truman Show?
I love that movie.
Mm-hmm.
I really love that movie.
It was pretty good. I enjoyed it.
Even as an adult, I was like, Gabe, this part.
I was so scared. I was like, this is a scary film. I don't imagine your world and you're going and you start to figure things out and these random, like a dog walker and a guy reading a newspaper took away your dad that you thought drowned. And then you run into this building and instead of being an elevator, it's a set. And I would be like, you need to lock me up.
Yeah.
I'd be like, I am in trouble. Something like either something is going on or I'm very much in trouble. Please help.
Well, I feel like if the context of what happened with Sylvia did not happen, I feel like he maybe would be having those kinds of thoughts that if he had never questioned anything until he was an adult person.
Mm-hmm.
But like she said very specific things to him
Yeah.
that were to indicate that like the world around him was not correct.
But clearly he always wanted something else anyway. Like the fact that he held so strongly to this woman.
Yeah. He wanted
Yeah.
to go to Tahiti.
Yeah.
Yo, that movie was real though. I love the scene where I feel like it's messed up how much I love this movie. Just because it's like really stressful and it's like about, but like I loved this scene where he traps her in the car and is like, wait, look, mailman, lady on bike, man with flowers.
Yeah.
Every 10 minutes they go on loop. And then he does the whole driving around thing where he's
Yeah.
like really just like losing his
Just
faculties.
being Jim Carrey all over the place.
Yeah, just like really jimming it up.
I really, I loved every time she would do an advertisement.
Yes.
And she's like, you really should throw out that lawnmower and get this one. Or she was like, Coke. And he's like, who are you talking to? I was like, oh my God, I would lose it. If people just started advertising things to me, that would probably be an indication to me and I would probably lose my mind. It's a horrible prank. Don't do
you
it.
see the face that I'm doing?
Is it scary? Yeah.
I want to do it.
No, you don't do it to me.
It's only like for a day.
No. Why would you have my mental health?
Because you know.
Are you a producer of a reality show?
because we had this talk so you would know. So it'd just be funny.
No.
Like when we fast run around the house to indicate ghosts.
Yes. Well, yeah. So reality TV is bad.
It is bad.
Is in summation.
Truman Show's great. The show UnReal is great.
Yeah.
That movie we watched that was about reality TV was really stupid, and I don't even remember what it was called. It was just bad.
Yeah. No, we don't need to talk about it. But and then I don't think it's going away. But I do hope we find ways to help people who are involved.
Yeah.
Part of me wants to like go to be like undercover, and like sign an NDA, but not right.
You know, it honestly feels very Hunger Gamesy to me, and it's scary. And I want people to be okay.
Yeah, 100%. Stop holding kids hostage. Well,
if we don't see you,
good afternoon, good evening, and good night.
Big smile.
Big smiles.